Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all really well. I've got Peppy with me today. She's snoozing on the sofa. It is very hot in the UK at the moment, so she is taking some chill time out just to relax. Today I thought I would talk to you about the other things that you need to know before getting a Pomeranian, or to be honest, any puppy. I feel like these points are relevant to any breed of dog. Okay, let's get started. I'm gonna have my phone with me because I have all my notes on here. I hope that's okay. So, first of all, my first point is a Pomeranian suitable to your lifestyle? So, with this totally relates to any dog breed as well. So whether it's a Husky or a Labrador or a Spaniel or a Pomeranian or whatever, a Terrier, you need to find a breed that is right for your lifestyle. Also, I would really like to advocate for rescue dogs as well. They make amazing pets. 100% the next dog we get is going to be a rescue. I wasn't as educated as I am now on rescues, but you can get Pomeranians as rescue dogs and they are absolutely lovely. You can get them as well from puppies as rescues. So I will list a few rescues that I know of down below. But anyway, back to the point, is a Pomeranian suitable to your lifestyle? So I get this question a few times, and I've had before a few questions about living in hot countries with Pomeranians. Pomeranians have a super thick coat, as you can see from Peppy. So in a hot climate, as I just said, like, she's struggling in UK temperatures. And I think the temperature at the moment is in the 20s, probably the mid-20s or early 20s. And if she's struggling in that, you can imagine how much a Pomeranian would struggle in a really hot climate. I have seen, when Ben and I went to Dubai, people walking Huskies and big dog breeds, Chow Chows and things like that in Dubai. And it's just, if I'm totally honest, cruel. These dogs are not suited to that kind of temperature. Dogs get heat stroke so quickly, and the warning signs, well, to be honest, when you start to see warning signs, it's typically too late, which is really heartbreaking. So you do need to figure out whether it is right for you. With their thick coats, obviously, and also their size as well, they're quite small dogs. So if you're super active, you love going for long walks that take up the whole day, then maybe the breed's not right for you. Maybe you should look at a more active dog breed. I think that's definitely a point to consider. Also, they can be quite expensive in terms of the initial purchase, insurance, vets bills, food bills, and things like that. So do have a think as to whether it can fit into your lifestyle or not. And with that as well, you need to make sure that you have a suitable routine in place to have a dog in as well. And that accounts for any dog breed. Dogs love routine. They love to wake up at the same time. They love to eat at the same time. And with routine, they understand you more and it makes them more manageable as well. So that's a huge part. You need to make sure that they can fit into your routine. If you're going to school all day, every day, and you don't come home, you leave the house at 6 o'clock in the morning, for instance, you don't come home until 6 o'clock in the evening, it's not great for a dog to be left for that amount of time. So it's obviously down to you, but you really need to think about the dog as well and whether it would be happy in that kind of environment. You want to find your puppy as early as possible so that you can do all the preparation that you need. I wouldn't advise seeing a puppy and buying it in the same day without any thought. This is something you should really think about. You're bringing an upper life, basically. A dog is like a baby. Like, it should be taken on as much of a responsibility as a baby because they need you as much as that. So you want to make sure you can see the puppy as soon as possible. We went and saw Peppy when she was 4 weeks old. She was tiny. And at that point we were a little bit concerned that she wouldn't grow too much, but we had seen Mum, and Mum was a decent size. I'd say Mum was a little bit bigger than Peppy, so we knew she would be roughly that size. When you go and see a puppy, you should 100% see the mum. There should never ever be any question as to whether or not you will see the mum. You should 100% see Mum. Dad, on the other hand, sometimes they will be a stud, so they will have only been with that dog for, I don't know, a day or two to get the mating done. So you probably won't see Dad. Amazing if you can, but don't worry too much about that. You should also be able to see the rest of the litter too. So you want to see mum 100%, and you want to see the litter and where they're brought up as well, because it's super important. Next, if you've seen your puppy, you found your puppy online, and I think that's a whole other video because I get so many questions about where to find Poms and that sort of thing. But you can also find out a little bit more about that in my Q&A video. Anyway, you need to find a local reputable vet and you need to register with them as soon as you've decided to get your puppy. So you might have put down a deposit, or you might have signed the papers with the rescue centre to say that you're going to have the puppy, and you want to organise a conversation with them. So this is something that we did before we got Peppy. We had 4 weeks to organise everything, because obviously we picked her up at 8 weeks old, and that's another point. You should never be picking a puppy up before they hit 8 weeks. 8 weeks is the earliest you should be getting them, because they need all those really important social skills with mum and the rest of the litter, and they learn so much during that time. If you take them away too early, they could become a bit of a problem and you may have trouble with them. So yeah, you want to find a local reputable vet, register with them. You want to have a conversation with them to see if there's anything you need to prepare for before you get your puppy. And you also want to organise a trip to the vets as soon as you've picked up your puppy. So maybe not on the day, but a few days after your puppy is settled, you want to take them to the vets and get them checked over, get the microchip changed over, because your puppy should have a microchip. It should have all its first inoculations. I don't know if she's moved out of the camera, but she's so snoozy today. Your vet may also offer a puppy club, and what that is, we had that with Peppy, and what happens is that because you've registered with them from such an early age with your puppy, they will give you like discounts on things like neutering and vaccines and the puppy passport, things like that. So it's well worth having a chat with them to see if they have anything like that, if they could offer anything like that. Also, they'll be able to talk to you about social clubs, so your vet will be probably the best place to discuss socializing your puppy. They'll be able to introduce you to puppy classes and things like that, depending on whether that's something that you want to do or if that's something you want to do on your own. But I would highly recommend, if this is your first dog, to definitely get them socialized and in with a puppy club. Okay, the next thing is pet insurance. So important. I cannot tell you, you need pet insurance. So ours, I think we use Pet Plan, and it costs £65 a month, which is, I don't know, is that a lot? I don't know. I mean, that's been an absolute godsend for us, because we had that one time when Peppy was less than a year old, where she had to go into hospital, or the pet hospital, overnight, and had to go on a drip, and it was very, very serious. It's things like that you just have to be so careful with. All she did was eat a rich meal, and it affected her massively. So it's definitely worth getting that insurance. Hopefully you'll never need it, and it's there if you do, but it's just well worth it. Otherwise, I think her stay in the vets would have cost us thousands of pounds, and instead it cost us £100 or something. So definitely worth it. When you collect your puppy, there are certain things that it has to have. In the UK, I think it's the law now for your puppy to be microchipped. So it has to be microchipped. And when you go to the vets, that microchip should show only one previous owner. If it doesn't, then it's a little bit worrying. It could mean that it's come from abroad or something like that. But if you've done your background checks, then it should be absolutely fine. So it should be microchipped. It should have its first inoculations. You won't be able to take your puppy outside in public spaces until it's had its third set of inoculations, and then I think you have to wait 2 weeks before it can actually be allowed out. You need to get all these documents from the breeder as well when you collect them. So at 8 weeks old, this is all the stuff that you kind of need to get. If your puppy is Kennel Club registered, you'll need all the documents to do with that as well, but they should be very well versed in dealing with all of that. Your puppy should also have had its first flea treatment and worming treatment, and you will need to know what worming treatment and flea treatment were used so that you can carry on the treatments after that. And I think they need to be flead and wormed once a month after that. It may be different for puppies, I can't remember, but we de-flea and de-worm Peppy once a month, and we never really have many problems with that. When you collect the puppy as well, this is so important to help them get settled. It's a very scary thing for them. They're being ripped away from their mum and dad, and as lovely as you might be as an owner, that is still a big traumatic experience for them. So if you can, organise with the breeder beforehand to have a blanket put in with the bedding so that it smells like the litter and smells of mum. Then when you collect the puppy, you can take the blanket as well with you, and it'll help them settle a bit more. Also a toy, if they have a toy that they've played with when they've been growing up, that's a great way to have them settled as well. You know, just a few little bits of normality that they can bring with them that makes it not so scary and new. You also want to ask for a few weeks worth of puppy food. So the food that the puppies have been eating, it may be well worth you getting a few weeks supply of that from the breeder so that you can gently ease them into a new diet. You may choose to keep them on that same food, which is what we did, or you may choose to put them on a different diet. If you choose to put them on a different diet, you cannot just change their diet like that. They have very sensitive stomachs and they'll need to be eased into it very, very gently. So yeah, it's best to ease them in, put a little bit of food in and out and swap it over gradually. But during your first puppy check-in with the vet, you also want to make sure you discuss any further vaccinations that your puppy will need, and you may want to, if you'll be traveling a lot with your dog, you may want to discuss a puppy passport. Peppy has a puppy passport or a dog passport now, she's 3. Obviously, we don't really know exactly what's happening with that with the change in the European Union laws, so we're still waiting to hear back, but obviously coronavirus has kind of put a halt to a lot of things, so we don't really know whether we'll be able to travel as freely, but currently we can travel pretty much all over Europe with her as long as she's got her passport and there's no quarantining, which is amazing. Obviously your puppy won't be able to travel until it's had its full vaccines, and it needs vaccines in order to get the passport as well. At this point, you may also want to start having a think about whether you want to have your dog neutered and the dew claws removed. So the dew claws are the tiny little, if you imagine the dog's foot is like that or the paw is like that, they have a tiny little claw which is here, which is a very, very delicate little, if you imagine it just being like a little finger, just here. Now these claws in the wild, they use to grip bits of meat and things like that so they can really eat properly. But in domestic life, it can be a bit of a hindrance. Peppy's actually ripped one of hers before and it bleeds so much. When they're puppies, it's literally a very quick, it's not formed properly and there's not a proper bone that's formed. So it's quite a quick little operation to get that removed. Whereas when they're adults, it's a bit more difficult. They've got more nerve endings in there and things like that. So it may be worth discussing whether or not you want those removed. We didn't get Peppy's removed, and in hindsight I would have loved to have had them removed because she has had problems ripping them in the past, and it can be very painful for them. So have a think about that. Also with neutering, we have had Peppy neutered. She's so tiny. She's 3.5 kilograms, I think, and I just don't think it's fair to put a dog through breeding when they are so tiny. Also, there are so many puppies in the world that we really don't need to add to that problem. There are so many lovely, lovely rescues that need our help. So yeah, we didn't want to add more puppies into the mix of all the puppies in the world right now. So that was a decision that we made. Also, it does play a part in their health later on. We actually had two of our spaniels all of our spaniels have had problems with their womb and getting womb infections and it leading to cancer, and ultimately I think we lost 2 of our spaniels because of that. So having them neutered really lowers the chances of things like that. Okay, another huge one. Before you collect the puppy, you need to puppy proof the entire house. You may get a chewer. Peppy wasn't a chewer, but I have had people messaging me saying, how do I get my dog to stop chewing my shoes? And there's a few things that I think you can do. We have a little white chew bone. I'll insert a picture on the screen here if I can. Super cheap, smells like milk, and I think we've replaced it 3 times, so she's had 1 a year since we got her. And they are amazing for them to sink their teeth into. They're the perfect size for a pom. She can really chew it. It smells nice. It gives her the most gorgeous smelling breath. I love it. And yeah, it's just a little comfort toy for her to chew on. She has never ever, I think she chewed a cable once and I did tell her off for it. and she's never ever chewed anything since. I've never had a problem with shoes or anything like that, but if you've got nice shoes, do not leave them lying around because chances are your puppy may decide to chew them. So in terms of puppy proofing, I just mean like tuck away any cables. If you have like a TV cable and a puppy decides to chew through it, that could be a very nasty electric shock for them and could ultimately lead to death and things like that. So you just want to make sure you go around puppy proofing the house. If you've got stairs that you're worried the puppy might fall down or something like that, then maybe it's worth getting a baby gate. Just things like that that you know are going to mean that your house is a bit safer. Also things like if you've got a mirror that leans up against a wall and it's very heavy, or you know things that might fall down. It's the same with a baby. Like you wouldn't just let a baby kind of shake a mirror if it's not attached to a wall or something. So same with a puppy, they are curious, they want to go and smell things and sniff things and see what things are. So yeah. Okay, in terms of things that you actually need to buy, I will probably put either a list down below. If I don't have enough space, I will do a blog post and I will link to the blog post down below of all the things that you need to buy and all the highlights of this conversation as well, so you have that written. But dog bed, number one. You need to make sure as well that the dog bed is big enough for the dog when it grows up to adult size. You have to remember puppies are so tiny when they're born, but they grow so much within a year, it's crazy. So make sure you get a dog bed big enough. You want a non-slip food bowl, a water bowl, lead and collar or a harness. If you're getting a Pomeranian, I highly recommend a harness, not a collar. They've got very, very delicate windpipes and they can break their trachea very easily. So you don't want to have them on a collar because it could damage that. You want to have them on a harness. Same with any toy breeds or small dog breeds, and actually any dog really. If you find that they're pulling, get them a harness because it stops that and makes them a bit more secure. Puppy pads, a huge one to stop them from weeing anywhere and everywhere. If you have puppy pads down, they're more likely to pee on that rather than your carpet. Chew toy, I've talked about this, so we've got the little bone. You want like a rope toy or something they can play tug of war it with, because naturally in the litter they would play with their siblings, but obviously when you get them they probably won't have a little friend to play with, so you want to have some toys for them. A soft toy as well. A Kong. So a Kong is like a little rubber toy like this with a hole in the bottom and you can put food inside. So I find this a great thing. We've never really had a problem with Peppy when we go out and leave her, but these are great if you want to leave the house, if you're worried that they're going to chew things and you just want to wear them down a little bit. If you fill a Kong with like a dog-friendly peanut butter or something like that when you go out, it should keep your puppy entertained longer so that it doesn't chew up your furniture, hopefully. A Furbo. Now a Furbo is a doggy camera and ours actually also throws out treats. So when we go away, we always have a camera on Peppy if we haven't taken her with us. It's safe in case there's, I don't know, an accident in the home. I don't want to tempt fate or anything and say anything, but break-ins, fires, anything. Yeah, so we always have a camera on her just in case she's barking or anything like that. We can check what's going on and see, and we can also throw a treat to her if we don't know where she is in the house. We can throw a treat and just to check up on her while we're out. You want to get a good brush to be able to groom them from home. You want to get some tennis balls. We actually have mini tennis balls. Again, I will link them down below for you so you can get them, but Pomeranians obviously have tiny little mouths and they can't pick up big tennis balls sometimes, so you do want to get little tennis balls for them. Poo bags, a massive one for when you take them out. You want puppy treats, and you need to make sure that you get puppy specific treats and food for when they're younger. They contain all the nutrients that they need for growing up into healthy dogs. So it is super important that you are giving them the right nutrients for their diets. Dental sticks. This is optional. We got dental sticks. We find them great for her like halfway through the day, during lunch or whatever, and also because they have such tiny teeth, you are supposed to brush their teeth. We struggle with doing that with Peppy a bit. So having a dental stick just helps clean it a little bit. You do still need to brush their teeth, or the other option is to take them to the vet and the vet will do it, which I think we're going to have to do with Peppy. But yeah, just one to note. And then dog shampoo as well. You can get puppy specific dog shampoo. I don't think bathed Peppy until she was about 5 months old, just because she really didn't need it. Their fur completely rejects like any dirt or anything, so we can take her for the longest, muddiest walk. By the time we've got home, she's completely clean again. They literally have magic fur, and I've said that so many times, but they really, really do. The last few things are collection. Hello, darling. Oh, was that nice snooze? When you collect your puppy, you probably want to collect them 1 at the weekend and 2 in the morning. So if possible, it would be great if you take off 3 days from work or something like that, and you can collect them on the Friday morning or the Saturday morning and then have them until the Monday, just so that they can get settled with you at home. As I've said, it's a massive trauma for them to leave their mum and come and live in a new household, so as much settling as you can give them, they appreciate. So if you can be with them from the morning right through to the evening for 3 days in a row, then they can at least get used to the space, and then you have time to kind of pop out for an hour and see how they go with you leaving the house. And it really, really helps them to ease into your lifestyle. Again, having a solid routine really, really helps. Feeding them, puppies need to be fed 3 times a day, morning, midday and evening, so being able to do that with them is great, especially in the first few days, just to get them settled so that they know exactly who you are, how you work, and they get more comfortable. Right guys, that is all from today's video. I really hope you've enjoyed. I hope it's been a bit useful. If you have any further questions, please don't be afraid to leave them below, or if you don't want to leave them publicly, please feel free to drop me a message on Instagram. I will put my Instagram handle on the screen here now. Drop me a message over there. I always respond to every DM I get. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.